Just while I'm sitting here quickly, um, two people I've asked recently, you see them standing down Tennyson High Street, all the Jehovah's or whatever. I say, go on, tell me a verse from the Bible, I'll look it up. And twice, two people have said 21.4 Revelation, which says God is going to create a state where there's no longer to be any suffering and any pain and all that. Right, so I'm just going to put this to you while I'm sitting in church, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a religious man, or I don't pray, but I do believe in a higher power, and I do believe that good will always overcome bad. But I'm just going to state in the obvious here: how old is the Bible? When was the Bible written? Right, because that Revelation 21.4 has been around for thousands of years, and the suffering is worse now than it's ever been. You got all that shit in Ukraine, Israel, Gaza. You've had 2 world wars. You've got cancer. You've got the UK government. You've got Essex Police, mental health services. They all cause suffering, and it's getting worse, not better. So I'm just stating the obvious here. When is it going to happen? Because I've been suffering for over a decade now at the hands of the state, government, police, mental health services, NHS, family, just society in general, just being pricks who think that they can get away with murder and not be held accountable, like falsely imprison people, falsely diagnose people, unlawfully detain them for years, rip them away from their kids, take away their liberty, make them homeless, and still pester them. I'm still getting mental health services pestering me. I tell them to fuck off every day, and they just still pester me. I've put proof on YouTube of what these pricks are like. Lily the Pink, all one word is what it's on. And as soon as I put it on, I got a letter from the NHS threatening me to take it down, which I told them to fuck off. I said, first of all, I'll film any public authority I want, especially when it's evidence of what pricks you are. And I'll post it wherever I want. So firstly, fuck off. And secondly, I posted it under my daughter's name. So how the fuck did you know it was me? They sent a letter to my mum's house that my sister opened, which is a criminal offence, opening someone else's mail. But I don't care. She sent me the letter. So I emailed them. I said, fuck off, you pricks. So they're fucked off. I got a text message a few days ago from Kent Mental Health saying your appointment is. So I've told them to fuck off. I've spent 6 years logging what coercive and controlling is by these cunts, and how to help other people's mental well-being by steering clear of these pricks. They're just control freaks. They're paid by the government to silence and control people. But anyway, yeah, this 21.4 Revelation, I've just looked at it, and it says God's going to create a state where there's going to no longer be suffering. And since that verse was written in the Bible, however many thousands of years old that is, it's not happened. So this is why I'm not religious, because I believe in a higher power, whether it be God or not, or whatever. I just believe that good will always overcome bad. And this is why people need to be mindful of their actions. Like when Kim Jong-un, my hero from South Korea, sent the balloons full of hot air and shit back to his neighbour, saying next time be mindful of your outdoor activities. Well, I'd just say to these pricks, just be mindful of your own activities next time, not fucking mine, you wankers, right? Because it'll come back and bite you pricks. So fuck off. So anyway, there's some food for thought for you. How old is the Bible? And Revelation, go and look at it yourself. 21.4, it said God's going to create a state where there's no more suffering, right? And since that's written, all I've seen is suffering. You've had world wars, needless deaths, Vietnam War, all that. You've got the UK police, the UK government, the UK NHS, all fucking tyrants, all causing suffering to people like me who they think have outgrown their environment like a tree and needs chopping down, when really I need to be heard saying, you're police, you should be acting puritanical like me, which means you've got ethics and you've got morals and you try to get others to act more ethical and morally, yeah? Rather than fucking put technology monitoring systems in my house after you've arrested me unlawfully for the fourth time that week. And then I go home and find it in my living room and say to Sarah, what's that? And she said, oh, it's a panic button for all the domestic violence that's never happened. I said, all right, I'm going fishing. I come back and it had gone. So it wasn't a panic button. It was a technology monitoring system. And the police have been monitoring all my technology unlawfully because the Human Rights Act says a right to live your life, private life, without interference from the state. And then a few years later, after they kicked me out, by the way, unlawfully, I was sitting over Harlow Common fishing and they come over there and arrested me there for nothing as well and sectioned me unlawfully again, where they just sent a prick doctor to the cell. And I told him to fuck off because I was annoyed at being arrested. And he thought that needed sectioning, where you need 3 professionals. And there wasn't 3, it was just one prick. And then they sent me here, there and everywhere. And then they sectioned me again unlawfully. And I mean, if they were genuinely concerned and it was all lawful, that they wouldn't be hiding the doctor now, would they? And they wouldn't all be covering each other's asses and lying and stopping me getting all my paperwork. So it just proves they're all fucking idiots. And they couldn't tell the truth if they fucking tried. But anyway, yeah, I've suffered a lot the last 10 years. So have my children. And so has society. And all at the hands of UK fucking authorities. So there's some food for thought for people who pray and insist on God this, God that. Because I question a lot of it. I agree on a lot of the Bible, but I question some of it. Because there's too much suffering going on. Well, where's the state? Where's the state that God's created where there's no more suffering? Everyone I see around me is suffering, whether it's with their own morals or just being a cunt. There's suffering all around. So when's it going to stop? So make of that what you will.